everyone, Bert from Seasoned Gaming, and back with another Bitcast for you. Dan is actually out this week. I'm joined as usual with Ains, and we have a special guest with you, the legendary Colt Eastwood. He's going to be with us throughout the entire Bitcast. We're going to get a few questions from him just from a basic fun interview, and then he's actually going to join with us in our normal format with the exception of Name That Game. We didn't want to do Name That Game and totally weird him out and him never talk to us again, but we are exempting that, and then we'll kind of go through our games that we're playing and continue with our normal format. So let's get started with our Bitcast this week. Colt, thanks for joining us a ton. Hopefully you're having a good weekend and everything, or had a good weekend, I should say. But let's get started with some quick questions for you. So, what got you started in gaming overall? Like, what inspires you to continue doing what you do?
Well, I'm super old, so I've played games since like the beginning of gaming time. Started with an Intellivision way back in the day, and the NES. Yeah, the NES is what really gave me the bug. So like I played like a lot. So, but the weirdest thing about me with gaming was right in the middle of the Super Nintendo, I kind of fell off of gaming and concentrated on being a high schooler. So that dates me about how old I was. And I didn't come back to gaming in full force until the Xbox 360 came out. So that really weirds out people. But ever since then, it's been like really like it's a problem.
Wow, so you missed the whole original Xbox, huh?
Yeah, I actually bought one in '07, and I played a bunch of games that everyone had already been done with. And around 2008, I said, I got to get a 360, and I just like jumped into GTA 4, and I was like hooked on San Andreas on the original Xbox before that. And that's when I knew I was coming back to gaming. And I had kids, and college was over. I had a job and a house, and I thought, you know what? I need to have a console. I've been responsible long enough.
That's funny. So Ains has a funny story about what got him into Xbox.
I do.
Yeah. I mean, you initially went for the GameCube.
GameCube. In fact, I talked about that on the Next Level Gaming show the other night. He asked me about that. So yeah, I had pre-ordered the GameCube with 6 games and picked it up, and I completely ignored the Xbox. I didn't give a shit about it, and then I played it on the way out the door with my GameCube in my hand at EB Games, and they had Halo on the kiosk, the demo kiosk. I played Halo, and I went home, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. And I told my girlfriend at the time, I said, man, I got to get an Xbox. And I went back that night, same night, and she bought me an Xbox for an early Christmas present. And my GameCube collected dust. So
you came home with 2 consoles that night?
Yeah, I went home with 2 consoles and 7 games that night. Yep, sure did. But that's crazy, Colt. So that means, basically mid-90s through mid-2000s. So you missed, let's see, PlayStation 1, Dreamcast, even PS2's launched then.
Yeah, there was like about 4 or 5 months where my brother let me have his PlayStation for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But I was going to school. I was going to college. So I played like Metal Gear Solid and Gran Turismo and stuff like that. But I had to kind of shelve it because it was affecting my grades. So yeah, I gave it back. So there was a time there where I played PlayStation, but I never really got into the N64. I didn't play like games like StarCraft and World of Warcraft and RTS games. Like I missed a whole subsection of major games. It kind of makes me weird that way.
Pretty big. Well, Colt, you mentioned that you played a bit of Super Nintendo. So, were you a Nintendo kid? Did you jump into Genesis at all? Like, where were you in your childhood?
I was a Nintendo kid. My parents bought us an NES, but the Super Nintendo was cool. But I was old enough to where I was just kind of like, I'm not really enjoying this as much. And I played like Street Fighter and F-Zero and Star Fox and stuff. But I just really wasn't into it, and I had other priorities like girls and hanging out and getting in trouble and stuff. My younger brother called me a Nintendo freako, and it kind of put me off of gaming, being at that age. And I kind of like swore it off for a little while because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, gaming was much different back then too. It was a different environment. So
bit of a weird stigma with it.
Yeah, it was definitely like just the real bona fide nerds were playing. I mean, everybody played Nintendo, right? Or Sega Genesis. Like everyone was playing as far as like that group. But I mean, you still were totally a nerd if you talked about it a lot and stuff.
Cool. Well, next question for you, Colt. I mean, you have a massive social media presence on Twitter, and your YouTube channel is very successful as well. So what keeps you energized and continuing to make content and entertaining the masses from everything you do from a YouTube perspective?
I really, really, really like sharing stuff. I really like production and creating graphics for people. So just the interaction that I get from my channel. I create logos for people on the side for a little bit extra money. just talking to people in the comment section. I mean, I really make these videos because I want to get a discussion going. I think I don't really give my opinion in my videos. I try to portray everything I've gathered together and just like leave it up to the listener to have a discussion, but that sometimes that brings people in to argue with me. But
right.
I like talking to people. I really do. I check my comment section pretty often, and I respond to as many people as I can. It really powers me through. When I put out a video, I get like 2 or 3 days solid of people, having a conversation and talking to me and asking me questions, and that's what keeps me going. I really enjoy it.
Awesome. Yeah, we've been fans of your content for a while. It's really cool to see the way you mend, I guess I should say, footage and audio and your voiceover and stuff. Do you usually? I'm assuming you script everything up before you do your videos, or does everything come off the top of your head? I mean, that'd be pretty cool if you were doing that too. It's always tough to do that.
That would be like near impossible. No, I just about 2 years ago I started writing scripts because I got tired of editing, like rambling. I would ramble for like 18 minutes and edit it down to like an 8-minute video. I've really tried to hone the craft of doing a professional voiceover. So I write like a documentary style script. I make sure that everything I say has a meaning and that I mean what I say and that it comes from information I've gathered. And it's kind of weird, like when people take exception to something I've said in a video. Like, for example, I said when I played Crackdown 3, the city reminded me of Night City from Cyberpunk because it has the neon everywhere. At night, Everything's colorful. And a statement like that happens to me all the time. I get like hundreds of people saying that Colt Eastwood just compared Crapdown 3 to Cyberpunk 2077. But, I write that sentence very deliberately. I make sure I add an or a of word that makes sure that people understand what I meant was the look or the aesthetic reminds me of Cyberpunk. And so it's funny. Right. I try really hard to be concise and clear with people. I'm hoping they're paying attention.
Yeah, Ains, I think you do some of that too, right? The little inside jokes and a lot of your writing and little hidden gems and all over the place.
yeah. Which very few people get, sadly, but it's still worth it. Yeah, Colt, I was going to ask you, so you've, like Bert said, you've grown a really good following, which is awesome, and it was great getting to chat with you about it at E3 this year.
Yes.
When did you get started? Like, not into gaming, but into the social media, not social media, but the videos, and when did you really kind of ramp it up to the level that you're at today?
I really started ramping it up around the time Witcher 3 was about to come out.
Oh, yeah.
I remember because I was at like 200 subscribers, and I made this personal goal that if I hit 500, I would give away to a random person in my comments Witcher 3, and I made it like 50 subs up from 200. So I worked really hard for a year trying to build a channel, making a video every week, trying to make it really good content, and it wasn't going anywhere. I was getting like 47 views a video, and it was really wearing me out. And then Dealer Gaming, a guy that I watched every week on YouTube, like got a hold of me because I commented on one of his videos and had tons of likes. And he says, "Hey, Colt, I've been watching your channel for a while, and we got to fix this. You're not getting any views, and we're going to fix that." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's talking to me!" And we've been like best friends ever since. He's taught me a lot of things, and I really just tried to make everything I do the best that I can possibly do it. Because I want people to. I make people watch a video for 8 or 10 minutes. I want them to enjoy it and like see some really good footage and illustrated points instead of just talking over gameplay. I want them to see footage that's relatable to what I'm talking about. Because if anybody's like me, you kind of drift off and daydream and stop paying attention.
Bert knows what you're talking about. That's for sure.
I don't actually. I don't. So really quick, Colt, you've God, you have so many subscribers, which is fantastic, and you're approaching the 400 video mark. Are you going to be doing anything special for that 400 video?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's weird.
Putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess
Well, I don't mean... let me back up. I don't mean like a giveaway or anything, but is that 400th video going to be like something special?
I haven't thought about it because like I feel like I haven't made that many videos because I make a video about every 6 to 10 days. But I have some older videos. If people dig way back, they'll find like I tried all kinds of different things on YouTube. I was, I used to go out shooting with friends and record that for people who like that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, I did like a whole playthrough of Fallout 4 that no one watched. So,
that was probably the really game's fault, Colt. I'm not going to blame you for that
one. I still like me some Fallout. But, I don't know. I don't think of that far ahead, Bert. I'm like always thinking about in 3 days. Like right now, I'm thinking in about 3 days I need to make a new video, and that's about as far ahead as I think. I really am that bad.
So, Colt, I'm going to really dig into the archives here and kind of, I'm not going to say mess with you, but I'm just going to bring some memories back from a long time ago. So, the Pinewood Derby video.
Oh my gosh, you are going
2009.
Oh, man. A decade. A decade ago.
How long did that Pinewood Derby car take you to make? I mean, I was a Boy Scout / Cub Scout, so I know all about those. Yes. You can make the coolest looking car, and it's the slowest car in the whole track. So how long did that take you?
That was like an adult Pinewood Derby, because when you're in the Boy Scouts, your dad helps you make the car, and
that's right. Your dad actually makes it. Yeah.
Right. So we decided, why don't we do one and leave our sons out of it? So I spent like probably 6 or 8 hours building that car. I took 2 blocks and glued them together, and then cut them down to the 7 ounces. So that I could have wheel wells and all this stuff. And so I made a video because I've been into video production for like 20 years off and on. And so it's always been an interest to me. And now I finally feel like I've honed the video production into something that works for me and that people enjoy. And that's doing the video game stuff. So that makes me really happy. But that's awesome, man.
That is awesome.
Pinewood Derby video.
Yeah, Bert was digging into the history there.
I do my history on people. Before giving them a decent interview. But like I said, man, we always loved your content. It was a pleasure meeting you in person and spending a bit of time with you at E3. What do you have any plans?
Let me say something about that for your audience that's always tuned in. So I went to E3 for the first time, got to go to FanFest for the first time, and like the very first day, Bert and Ains met me, and I was there with my wife, and they were so awesome. They hung out with us. They showed us where to go, gave us advice on where to hang out and what to check out and what energy drinks not to drink.
Bang, bang.
So we basically hung out for 2 or 3 days. We went to IHOP at like 2 in the morning.
Oh my gosh.
It just made the trip, and meeting you guys was like just a real highlight of all of the amazing stuff, because we met some amazing people too that work in the industry, and that meant a lot to me to meet you guys. It's a friendship made there for sure.
Same here. Based on that question, I mean, are you guys planning on attending anything else? There's PAX. Obviously, Tokyo Game Show might be a little far away, and probably some games that not all of us really get into. But there's obviously the big ones like Gamescom. Do you feel energized to kind of do something like that, or are you more of just an E3 guy? What are you thinking?
Well, I've always thought about it, but PAX is in Seattle, which is 2.5 hours from where I live, so like that could be totally doable. Now I kind of broke the seal, right? Now I want to kind of check more of this stuff out. Where's Gamescom at? Isn't that?
That's Germany.
That's Germany.
Yeah, there's no way.
But the funny thing about Gamescom is Bert and I had talked about doing it here in a near future, and we talked to several actual devs or studio heads due to the conversations we had at FanFest and the media day, and a lot of them were like dreading Gamescom. They said basically it's too crazy. So Colt, if you imagine E3 was about 60 to 100,000 people if you include media industry and the fans there, Gamescom is 400,000. So
what?
Yeah, so to fly 14 hours or so from here to spend a day where it's just hours upon hours of lines, I don't think it's really worth it, to be honest. So
yep.
But PAX West, man, Seattle, that would be. I've heard PAX is great because it's completely focused on fans. It's not a media show; it's a fan show. And so I know the Lords were telling me that PAX is amazing. They said I have to go. So PAX and Seattle combined sounds like a good deal to me.
Yeah, it does.
Awesome. Well, last question for you, Colt, and then we'll get started with our normal format. But what do you have around the corner? Like you just mentioned, you do videos fairly often. Is there anything that you're just really looking forward to, that you've written on, that you're really looking forward to share? But what can we look forward to from a premiere from you?
I've kind of covered the Xbox Game Studios, but I feel like I need to cover it again. I kind of gauge. I'm on social media a lot because I kind of gauge where the audience is, or where the gaming fans are at, and what their concerns are, or what they're questioning. And I think right now, people know that the next generation PlayStation and Xbox are going to be super powerful. They're not sure which one's going to be more powerful. They totally disagree with me on that one, but they're really concerned about where the games are going to be with Xbox. A lot of people think that they're not going to have the games, even with all these studios. Like their bad track record the past couple years is going to reflect going forward the next 5 or 6 years, which I don't agree with, but I kind of feel like I need to address that a little more. So I might be creating a video to explain where these game studios come from and what they're capable of, and that needs to be done again, I think.
Awesome, man. Well, we look forward to it. Like I said, we're both subscribers, so we always like your stuff, and we look forward to seeing that. And to make sure we plug you correctly, you're mainly on Twitter and YouTube, right? Are you anywhere else from a podcast perspective that we can find you or that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I'm at YouTube and Twitter at Colt Eastwood, and I do a podcast every Tuesday night with Dealer Gaming, Fonz, D-Batch, and Zocker87. So we do an Xbox-centric podcast, and it's really, really, really fun. We get a lot of people in there. So I'm on Dealer Gaming's channel on Tuesday nights, and we do that live for about an hour or so.
Awesome. So Twitter is at Colt Eastwood. If you're interested, his YouTube channel is also Colt Eastwood. And you just mentioned that one on Tuesday night is Dealer Gaming on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome. Well, like I said, Colt, thanks again. We're going to go ahead and progress with our show, so we look forward to having your answers and talking about these next news stories as well. So we're going to continue in our normal format, folks. So if you're listening in, we usually cover the news, then we talk about what we're playing. Sometimes rumors are swirling all over the place, so we do talk about those briefly and share our opinions. We don't like to jump into rumors too much and kind of make sure that they're not rumors, but we do want to talk about what's swirling. And then we'll kind of end it out from there. So if you're just joining on that part, like you're used to with news, here we go. And let's start with kind of a big one. And before I get started with news, after E3, the news cycle kind of slows down for a few weeks, and then it starts to pick up. We obviously have a busy fall coming. E3 kind of took us totally off guard on how many release dates we have coming up in the fall, but there's still a few things, and we're going to talk about those. So the first one is CD Projekt Red. So Cyberpunk 2077, which was probably one of the biggest talked about games at E3, was recently interviewed, and their dev team was interviewed, and they did say to look forward to some Witcher 3-like DLC. They haven't quite detailed what that's going to be, how many pieces of content we're looking at, or even how long it is, but to look at that model with Cyberpunk 2077. Now, I believe all three of us here are huge Witcher fans. We're mega excited about this. Ains, I'm not sure if you're as big as Colt or just as big as Colt. I know Colt's big Witcher, but Ains has a statue right next to him. So we have that going on. But are you super excited about this news? What are your thoughts here? This could be amazing.
I mean, Game of the Year 2020 has already been decided, apparently. So we can just lock it up and move on.
Are you saying Halo? Are you saying Halo's 2020 Game of the Year?
I mean, between Halo and Cyberpunk, God, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. But, yeah, I mean, this is great news, right? Witcher 3 core game, people spend hundreds of hours on. It's won the most awards of any game all time. I mean, it's that game that set itself apart this generation. So knowing what they're going to do with Cyberpunk, knowing it's going to have, the learnings of CD Projekt Red for another 5 years past Witcher 3, and it's going to be this huge, massive game people spend hundreds of hours on, and they're going to focus on story-based DLC or expansions is probably a better word, right? That are going to be similar to Witcher 3. And for those who have played those, Hearts of Stone and Blood and Wine, as I've said many times on this channel, those are the highest rated actual games on Steam of all time. So
the expansions?
Yeah, the expansions are considered a separate game, and they're the highest rated games of all time on Steam.
Jeez.
Yeah, I mean, and they deservedly so, right? Like Blood and Wine was a 30 to 40 hour expansion, which was absolutely incredible. I mean, it's just, there's so many superlatives I could use here, so I won't, I've done it before, so I won't hold us up. But long story short, just knowing how good Cyberpunk's already going to be, knowing CD Projekt Red, and knowing what they're going to add to the game in the future, I mean, I'm beyond excited for this game. I think this is going to be one of those games that takes us into the next generation, but still leaves a lasting mark well into next generation.
Yeah. And Colt, you, if I remember correctly, you built a PC around this time, right? And you played Witcher 3 on PC, and then maybe played a little bit of Witcher on console. Am I remembering correctly?
Yep. I played all the way to the end segment on PC, and then I uninstalled it when I was doing a repair on Windows and didn't realize GOG Galaxy doesn't have cloud save.
Oh my god.
So when I went to reinstall Witcher, my 45 plus hour like campaign was gone. But and I'm only like level 10 or 12 on Xbox One, so
oh man.
Yeah, it really bites that way. But the whole the crazy thing, like I didn't even hear about the expansions till you guys said that for Cyberpunk, because we already can assume how massive Cyberpunk's going to be on its own, the core game, because they said it's going to be bigger and more expansive than The Witcher, which doesn't even sound possible.
Yep.
So so much to look forward to.
Yeah, if we think about how long it's been in development, there's been a lot of rumors at last E3 that a lot of the game was playable already and that they needed to do some polishing. We didn't even know about Keanu Reeves last year when this was announced, so who knows the amount of polish and the amount of missions that are being added. They're taking feedback from all over the place and constantly fixing the game. So we should see it by before next E3, which is going to be pretty amazing. It'd be interesting to see what the vibe on the floor of E3 is of Cyberpunk. Probably we'll still have people playing it at that time. So some really good news there. Like I said, no firm details yet on how many there will be, how long there will be. Ains mentioned a little bit of 30 to 40 hours of content there from Witcher 3. We don't know if that's going to get mirrored, but something to look forward to. That's some news that has come out this week from CD Projekt Red. Another one that was kind of funny that we were actually chatting about this week is Final Fantasy VII Reboot. We did get some information as to how the selling and format of the game is going to be. Myself and Ains, and actually Dan was talking about, man, I sure hope that they don't plan on selling a full-price game for just the first part. And sure enough, someone must have been listening to our conversation, probably Google, and decided to share it across the web. We did get some news this week that Final Fantasy VII Reboot, just the first part, is going to be sold as a full-price game. So $59.99. Just that first part is going to take over 2 full Blu-ray discs. So we're probably going to be seeing a very high-fidelity type game with a lot of music. A lot of stuff's going to be happening from there. It has not been detailed as to how long that first part's going to take, but if you remember Final Fantasy VII, the overall game was somewhere in the 40 to 60 hour mark if you took your time with it. So we'll see how expansive this gets, but this is kind of a surprise. I mean, I'm not sure what we thought here, but a part of a full game is going to be costing full price. That's kind of funny. Colt, what do you think here? I mean, is this a launch title for you? Launch purchase?
No, I'm not a Final Fantasy guy.
There you go.
Yeah, I played a whole bunch of 15, but I don't like piecemealing stuff like that. But it's supposed to be huge, though. But
yeah, it's weird.
$60, huh?
Yeah, Ains, I know you're probably hand in hand with Cole. I think Ains just gave you a virtual high five, Cole. I think that's what happened.
Well, I mean, I know there's a massive appeal. Like, people are super excited, and like my friend Jay Fonz was playing the original one that's back and pat.
Yeah.
And he's loving it, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you want to go to me on this one, Bert.
Is this a pass?
I don't want to repeat myself. I'm not a Final Fantasy VII fan. I'm not surprised, but disappointed that it's going to be $60. Now they say this have the content of a full game. That's their quote around it, so we'll see what that means. The only thing I will say is that, it looks gorgeous. The battle system I like, as an improvement over the original. So if for some reason, in terms of a remake, they're remaking even more than just the graphics and the battle system, like if they're rewriting some of the story, not the key plot points, but you know what I mean, like the actual writing, some of the environments, if they're changing a bunch of that stuff too, you may be able to drag me into it, but I don't know, this just seems odd to me. You've got a $60 part of a game, and you've got a $330 collector's edition for a part of a game. It's odd to me, but people will buy it. This game is going to sell like fucking hotcakes.
Yep.
Yeah, and they retooled the combat system to make it more modern, didn't they, Bert?
They did, yeah. It's interesting. Back in the old school, it was very turn-based, very old-school Final Fantasy, which was one of the good parts of the game. But it is completely different. It's a little bit more action-oriented. There are still turns that take place, but it's a lot more interactive, more modern. So in my opinion, it does look very cool from that perspective.
And I don't have the release date in front of me. I know it's early next year, March, is it?
Yes.
Yeah, but the first quarter, we've talked about it, right? The first 4 months, I should say, of 2020 are already, like, packed. And so...
Yeah, like 2019 was.
Yeah, I mean, even if they did everything right and they tried to drag me in, there's just too much shit to play. And my entire focus going into April is going to be Cyberpunk. So, yeah.
Official launch date, by the way, is March 3rd, 2020. So the first week of March.
Gotcha.
And we officially, from Seasoned Gaming, will not be talking about Tifa's boob size. We are passing on commenting on that. So we're going to leave that one alone. So that's all over social media right now.
Gotta get those clicks, man. Gotta get those clicks.
I am upset that Bert wanted to, but he wouldn't sit on that motorcycle prop at the E3 stand. They had the Final Fantasy motorcycle.
It looked so tempting.
Yeah. And we're like, Bert, get on there. He's trying to act cool, like, nah.
Yeah, I know. He was like, no, let me just get these up close 24 photos of this in high res. I'm gonna make my wallpaper.
Yeah, I have one at home already. I have a life-size.
He was texting me about Tifa's boobs last night. I don't know what he's on about.
All right, moving along to our next story. So this one's kind of a funny one. EA is not exactly the public's favorite publisher / I guess you'd almost call them a developer for certain things, but they're currently one of the biggest publishers in gaming right now. They have not had the best 2018 and 2019, and one of the stories that came out this week is the executives are going to be foregoing their bonuses this year. A few outlets have mentioned this is to save jobs. A few other ones haven't even mentioned that term, so we don't have anything firm as far as exact details, but the only thing that has been confirmed is that they are foregoing their bonuses. Anthem had a very horrible launch. A few of the other games that came out from EA were just very lackluster. Their main success has really been Apex Legends, and Season 1 and Season 2 is right around the corner. And obviously we have Star Wars coming in the fall. But this one's kind of an interesting one. If you work in the corporate world, bonuses are part of the incentive program for executives in general. So a lot of the times, executives get a bonus even if the company just doesn't do gangbusters. It's the staff below them that doesn't. But this is, I guess, a positive way. I'm not really sure how to take it. Like I said, we don't really have details as to what's happened here from the executive team. But this seems to be a goodwill done by them. What are your guys' thoughts here on this one?
Yeah, I read a little bit about this, and I mean, it's a decent move, right? It's better than nothing, I should say. We're talking about a small percentage of these guys' actual pay, and you're talking about people that are making several to tens of millions a year. So, I mean, it's not huge in that regard to them. But if it does make a difference, and we don't know definitively, there's a lot that goes on in these corporations that will either be speculated upon or rumored upon that is completely wrong. And I can tell you that from experience. So whatever the details are, at least if it does anything to help the development companies within EA, if it even saves a handful of jobs of developers or coders or entry-level testers, then it was worth it, right? These guys are obviously making, like I said, tons of money. EA's not doing well. They obviously had some hand in the poor performance of Anthem's launch. So, yeah, you know what? Put that money back into the teams, let them develop, get your portfolio in order. So hopefully that's what it's actually doing.
I'm going to double down with what Ains said because I look at the executives that make the decisions that probably end up making a game like Anthem not as enjoyable as we'd want it to, but the talented people that are actually making the games, creating fantastic combat, because Anthem has really great combat. It feels great. And the games look beautiful. EA's games look really great. So as long as those people get to keep their jobs and keep doing what they do well and turn around better games with better leadership, yeah, I'm hoping that's kind of what they're trying to do. Like show some goodwill and make sure that the talent that is working under them is taken care of first.
Yeah, I think we'll hear more about that later on. EA does sometimes their press releases and stuff tend to leak out or something. I think we'll hear more. Right now, we're going to leave it as a positive. We don't really have any reason to be, pessimistic towards them in any form. But glad that they're doing that. Places like Activision have had those big layoffs. We've seen leadership leave and stuff. So the gaming industry is just in a weird place right now. Let's keep it as a positive for now, as we mentioned. So good points on there, guys. I really couldn't agree more, actually. So we'll see what happens. So our last two pieces of news are just really quick updates about games that we've received details on. So Gears 5, in the past, they've had season passes, they've had Ultimate Editions and stuff like that. If you're picking up the Ultimate Edition with Gears Ultimate and I can't even think, Games Pass Ultimate, or I can't even think, Game Pass.
You got it.
Yeah,
you got it. You got it.
Too many Ultimate things. It's slowly coming out. If you get those packs, even if you get the base one, you're going to be able to get all maps. You're going to be able to get no season pass as far as way goes, so you'll be able to get all the content, unlike past games where if you didn't have the season pass, you had to buy characters and stuff like that. And there'll be no gear packs as well. So this is kind of a big thing from a gaming perspective. You're not able to get everything. As I mentioned, if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you do get the Ultimate Edition of the game, so Ains and I guess Colt, correct me if I'm wrong, is it 3 or 4 days ahead of time that the Ultimate comes out?
I think it's 4, and keep in mind that the Ultimate Edition of an Xbox game like Forza Horizon is like $99, I think, and you get the game 4 days early in all expansions, which in Horizon's case would have been the Fortune Island and the Lego expansion. But they're done a totally different direction where Rod Ferguson says you get the game 4 days early with Game Pass Ultimate, which is only $15 a month. I mean, somebody could just jump in for $15 and get a $99 package for Gears 5 plus 200 other games that are included in the service. So, like, this is absolutely nuts. That they're doing this. It's really awesome.
And with this too, you get that Terminator pack as well.
Yeah, I think it was Sarah Connor and the
Sarah Connor's
the T800, I guess it is. But yeah, you get both of those, so that's kind of cool to see. So, big news there from a Gears perspective. In the past, there was all kinds of editions and stuff, which is actually making it more difficult for us because we like to collect physical, meaning Ains and myself. Colt, I think you've moved more toward digital, but we like to have that steelbook, and we like to have all the cool-looking covers and stuff. So it makes it even more difficult for us to buy that physical when you have the Ultimate available to you in Game Pass Ultimate. So this might be the first Gears that I pass on a physical copy, which is going to be kind of scary in the next few years.
Well, take that $80 or whatever that you're saving and buy the steelbook on eBay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been doing that on some games. Yeah.
Well, it's crazy right now. If you have Game Pass Ultimate, like I came home from E3 and bought an extra year of Xbox Live Gold and converted it to Game Pass Ultimate, so I have 2 years of that. There's like a ton of content I don't really have to buy. That's already included with such a great price of the service I have. So it's absolutely outstanding.
A lot of value going on right there. So speaking of value, PlayStation did expand their PlayStation Hits library. The newest games that are added to there are Horizon Zero Dawn. We've got Neo, I almost said Gears of War, God of War 3 Remastered. We have Friday the 13th, which I was a little bit surprised of being added here, and then Resident Evil 7. So if you're unaware of the PlayStation Hits program, this is where they put their games at a reduced value of $19.99. If you catch them on sale, I've even seen some of these at $15.99. But these are just some of the most played games from PlayStation. So it's cool to see them expand their library here. You can get them at that price digitally or physically. So depending on where you go, these are available now in the PlayStation Hit program. But yeah, I thought Friday the 13th was almost a bit of a flop, but I was surprised to see that a lot of people are still playing this game. So
it's
surprise there.
Yeah, it's odd to see it in the PlayStation Hits lineup, first of all.
Yep.
But it's also odd because support ended for that game last year. I mean, fully. The company's not touching it. And so it is interesting because it does have a player base. And I think it's because of just the way the game is. It makes for a great streaming game and video game.
Yep.
Video game, you know what I mean? Making videos of the game. So I think that's probably why. I mean, this is good news. The PlayStation Hits is a good thing, $19.99 for all these games. I mean, most of these games can be had for that price anyway. But if you're new to the ecosystem and you just want to jump in, especially with a game like Horizon Zero Dawn, which is amazing, it's a good way to do it. Is that Horizon? I don't know if either of you know. Is that Horizon Zero Dawn the complete edition or the normal?
I think it's the vanilla copy. Yeah, I mean, The complete edition is on sale at Best Buy and Amazon all the time for $13, $14.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, you can find it for there. So, Colt, were you going to say something? I thought I heard your voice.
No, I was just.
Okay.
I bought Horizon Zero Dawn for about $14 at GameStop like a year ago. So, $19.99 is not the best deal, but PlayStation and Xbox have had way better deals than that on some of their big games, but it's cool to see them all put together.
Nice. All right, so that's it for our news this week, folks. Like I said, the news cycle is in a very weird place right after E3. Not that many news stuff coming out from new releases or release dates or anything. Maybe we'll get something from a State of Play of Inside Xbox or some form of Nintendo Direct coming up in the next couple months to get more little pieces of news. But that's it for this past week, and we cover things on a weekly basis. So, a couple big rumors are continuing to stir. I did mention we touch on rumors today, and don't want to spend too much time on these rumors, Colt and Ains, but I did want to touch on them really quick just to get your perspectives and your thoughts. I know, Colt, you'll probably have a lot to say about the Xbox console. You too, Ains, and I'll probably be the only one that's going to, or actually, no, Ains, I think you're big on the Nintendo Switch Mini rumor. So we'll touch on that. But first, did want to talk about the big rumor that has been kind of swirling since the second or third day of E3. And it's that Project Scarlett, which was initially going to talked about. Nothing was ever confirmed as to what these were, but you had Project Lockhart console, and then you had the Anaconda console. And the rumor that has been coming out here is people have kind of honed in on Phil Spencer's interviews as of late, and he's no longer talking in plural form of consoles coming up. We haven't heard anything directly from Microsoft saying it's only one console or we're still doing both consoles. But the rumor is, like I said, they've dropped the lower end console, which was Lockhart, and now they're going to be focusing only on Anaconda and potentially leveraging the Xbox One X as that entry level to the Xbox console brand for next generation. But what are your thoughts here? Have you heard other rumors that are swirling on this one? Like I said, it's evolved since E3, but what are your thoughts here, guys?
You want me to go first, Ains? Them dropping the Lockhart, they must have a really good reason. I think if they were coming in with a $300 launch console that plays games faster than the Xbox One X, that would be really appealing, and it would get a lot of Xbox consoles in the home. But it sounds like they would rather just go for the benchmark power and try and be the most powerful console and offer the best experience on the majority of the games that come out. It's a big thing to understand that over 80% of the games that most people play are multiplats. So Xbox wants you in their ecosystem with a great PC or a great console. So I think that may be what they're trying to do. But it's just kind of strange that he said deep in development of next generation consoles at E3 last year, and now he's saying when he said consoles, he meant the Xbox All Digital Edition and the new Scarlett.
Correct.
But the Xbox All Digital is not a new generation console. It's a current Xbox One. So I don't know why you would hide behind that. That's what leads me to believe, and here's what I'll turn it to Ains. That's what leads me to believe that they are not willing to unleash their secret weapon, which may be, we've got this super powerful console, and we also give you this option for this really affordable one that's cheaper than the competition. Right. That could be a possibility.
Yeah.
Ains, what are you thinking here?
Yeah, it's interesting. So, I kind of blew up. We joke about it about a month and a half, 2 months ago with some comments I made. And I can tell you definitively from an internal Microsoft document that I have that they were planning on 2 consoles. I don't think that's a secret, but I can tell you that was a fact. So I like the way Colt's thinking in the sense of, we already know that they're going for the benchmark. They've been very clear about that. There's no doubting it. Whether or not they hit it, who knows? We'll see. We already know they're going for that. But it does bring up an interesting point, because the first question I asked to some of the people I was talking to when I saw this document was, okay, so they're going to come in with a no pricing was announced, right? But say they come in with a $300 to $400 entry-level next-gen, and then they come in with a $600 monster, right? Where does that leave the Xbox One X? It puts it in a funny spot, because you've still got this very, very powerful and capable console that's only a couple of years old, that you could really bring down to a $250, $299 price point and still capture a lot of audience. And remember that games like Gears 5, Halo Infinite, all these games are still going to work on Xbox One platform. Mm-hmm. And so, I don't really know. I think this is interesting. I'm wondering, so I think it could go either direction, and I'll say 2 points. One, it could go the direction of they've dropped it, and I think that's possible because they figured out, well, we've already got the Xbox One platform, including the X, and with Anaconda coming, that gives developers a lot of options already, and we'll make the Xbox One X our entry-level console, right? But then to Colt's point, if you came out and said, okay, we're truly moving to a new generation, sure, the games will still work on your Xbox One ecosystem, but in this new generation, we have more advanced technology, better CPU, much more advanced load times, and you can get there in a $300 to $400 entry-level piece, or if you want kind of native 4K 60 on pretty much every game and just monstrous power, you can go the high-end route. I think that's very appealing as well, especially when you start to compare to PS5, which we almost definitively know is going to be one console, right? So I could see it going either way, and I got to be honest, I don't have any insight here. I haven't heard anything definitively behind the scenes, closed door, since the two-console approach. So I don't know what they're doing, and I could see it going either way.
Yeah. So, like I said, folks, this is rumors right now. We don't really say anything is confirmed until we have something from the company that's making either the console, the publisher, the developer, anything. More to come. I'm sure this will be a hot story for the next few months until there's everything about, Project Scarlett that's coming out. But we'll report on that as well. This...
Yep,
Anaconda,
same for me.
Yeah. This next one is going to be really short and sweet. This is another, a leak from an accessory maker. Accidentally leaked some blueprint stuff that had to do with a potential Nintendo Switch Mini. And it was potentially new Joy-Cons that came out. So there's been a lot of funny social media posts about this, and they're saying the Nintendo Switch Mini is probably the worst kept console secret in a very long time. Now, we don't know if that's what it's going to be called. We don't know if it's going to be the Nintendo Switch Pro, the Nintendo Switch Anaconda. We don't know anything about this next console. But we are hoping that it is a more powerful console, maybe a 1080p screen, something that gives us a little bit better of experience on the Switch that a lot of us are kind of hoping for in the future. But I don't know if you guys have anything to say here. This is still very much a rough rumor. These things leak out probably with fake or legit rumors every month or so. But I don't really have anything else to say on it. I just wanted to mention what is swirling and, like I said, what is probably the worst kept secret from Nintendo.
Nintendo knows the numbers. They know... It's like I saw a number like 80% of gamers are playing that thing mobile. They're not docking it. So if they come in with a much, if they slightly cheaper but a little faster version, now that it's 2 years old, new tech, they know it'll sell really well. I think it will, and I kind of put my trust in Nintendo. Like they've got their gaming space in the right place, and they're really captured the world with the things they're doing. They about lost it with the Wii U, so it's pretty. Yeah, and they don't care about generations. Like they don't care about what PlayStation and Xbox are doing. They don't need that. They cater to a certain audience, and that audience really likes what they're doing. So I'm glad that they're seeing success.
Yeah, you can't even compare them in this generation anymore. It's just kind of a weird place for them to be. They're their own generation that takes place. Okay, folks, that's it for our rumors this week. I did want to mention the remaining months of June, July, and August. There's a whole bunch of games that are still coming out before the crazy fall. I just wanted to touch on them really quick. We don't really need to discuss any of these things, but then we're going to be talking about what we're currently playing and kind of enjoying. But for the remainder of June, so we've got 1 week left in June, we have Super Mario Maker 2, which is coming out on the 28th. We have Judgment, depending on when you're listening, is already out. It's on the 26th. A little bit of a spin-off from Yakuza there, and a lot of people are liking it a lot. I'm actually going to pick that one up in the future, probably when my backlog is somewhat caught up. In July, we have a couple big ones there. We have Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, which is the Switch exclusive. That is coming out on the 19th. And we have Wolf Youngblood, which is the 26th. So if you did like Wolfenstein, this is a spin-off / I wouldn't call it DLC. It's very similar to what Dishonored did with Dishonored 2. They had a whole spin-off using the same game engine, but this is going to be with the main character's daughters. So that's an interesting one to pick up. Check out the trailers. Looks really fun. In August, we have Control. That's coming out on the 27th. And then Astral Chain, makers of Nier Automata, is releasing for the Switch on the 30th of August. So still a ton to pick up in these remaining 3 months. I should say 2.5 months or 2 months and a week. And then the fall hits, and you're going to need your seatbelt on for the fall. It's going to be bananas. So we're not talking about any fall game releases here. We'll save this way down the road, but a ton of stuff to play. It is a good time to be a gamer. So let's talk about what we are personally gaming. So we're not always playing the latest and greatest, but we're definitely playing some great games. Colt, let's start out with you since you're our guest. What have you played in the last week or two? What are you loving? What are you hating? What's going on in your world?
I know. I was gonna say I am loving everything I'm playing. I just finished the Lego Speed Champions expansion for Forza Horizon 4. Absolutely love that game.
Yep.
And then I went into River Bond. So River Bond is this little isometric, like Minecraft dungeon-looking game that has little mini levels, and with a boss at the end. And I just fell in love with this game. And it's not a game type I would normally play. And as a result, I think I got at least 30 different people on Twitter in the gaming community like playing this game right now. And they're like, you played it, didn't you, Ains? So it's just
downloaded
I don't know.
for me. Yeah, I haven't played it, but it's downloaded. Yep.
It's just a satisfying, like, good game. It's like chill. I play it and talk and party, and I just enjoyed it. And then I just started back up Deus Ex: Mankind Divided. I played a bunch of that on the PC, and then it's on Game Pass, so I wanted to see how it looks on the X. It looks really nice, and kind of getting back into that and grabbing some achievements and kind of experiencing my precursor to Cyberpunk 2077.
There you go. It's Adam Jensen, right, Colt? That's the
yeah, he's a very cool character.
Very cool character. Nice. Okay, well, I'll shoot through what I'm playing. I'm all over the place these days. I actually finished Persona 5, which took forever. It took 105 hours to get done, and I did it over a number of months, just going back to it. And then I said I'm going to focus on this game and not play anything else, and so I did that. So that's a good accomplishment for me. It's one of my favorite games this generation. It's pretty good, but it's just very long, and it's not the kind of game to where you can play in 15 to 20 minute increments, because even the save points are kind of questionable at that point. So it's interesting. But if you like RPGs and are into something a little bit different, check out Persona. Horizon 4 Lego expansion. I do want to mention this is some of the most fun I've had in Horizon in a very long time. I actually didn't love Horizon 4 as much as I did 3 the first time I started playing it, even though I'm a level 138 or something. I just didn't play it as long as I played 3. So to pick up the Lego expansion, it just reinvigorated my love for the gameplay style and everything. It's just so good, very high quality, and it really pulls you into the Lego world. So that's so much fun. I'm actually trying, and the reason I'm saying trying is because I'm probably going to scrap this, but Shenmue 1 and 2 is part of Game Pass. It is not aged well at all. And this is from not only a graphical perspective, even though it's supposed to have, I guess, 4K resolution. I don't know how they're doing that, but the gameplay is absolutely horrid. So it's really hard to play. And I'm not very much of a retro gamer to start with, but playing this game with today's controller and TV is near impossible. So, yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the voice acting is horrible. The sound is horrible. They didn't update any of that in the remaster, so I don't know if I'm gonna make it through. I might stop. So, yeah, we're gonna leave that alone because that's a travesty. I went back to Metro Exodus. I did buy it at launch. I have, I guess, the Steelbook Exodus. What was this one called again? Oh, the Aurora edition. I have it right here. And it was broken when I first played it. It's still broken. Very frustrated about it. I think, Colt, you even mentioned it on Twitter that you ran into some issues, but my game now freezes about every 30 to 45 minutes. And if there was not a save point in there, I have to do it all over again. I don't know when they're going to patch this, but at this point, they're 6 months past release now. So I'm not sure what the holdup is. But some people are having no issues, and some people are having tons of issues. So it's a very weird release.
Yeah, I'm really careful when I respond to people when they're having technical issues, because I've been on the receiving end of having a game like unplayable, and then I get yelled at like, mine's fine. And when you said that yours was crashing, I said, yeah, mine locked up a few times, or I had to the game closed out on me and I had to reload. The loading into the game takes
so long,
8 minutes or something, which is an eternity for us these days. But when you responded back that it was crashing every 30 or 40 minutes, I'm like, that's really crappy. I'm sorry. And I said, you can play it on PC, but I've heard a lot of problems with PC. One of my buddies was playing it, and he said like he couldn't even get it to launch several times. So yeah, that sucks.
Who knows what's up? I mean, they are a smaller dev team than your typical AAA studios, and to a certain extent, I wouldn't really consider them AAA. They're somewhere in the middle between AAA and AA when it comes to development teams. So they're a smaller team. I hope they're working on it, because it's a story that I do want to finish, and it's just unfortunate that it's happening. And then lastly, I'm going back to Yakuza 0. I did play this one a bit, but at the time I was so distracted with a ton of games that it didn't interest me. But now that Judgment's out, which is a spin-off from Yakuza, I do want to actually go back and finish Yakuza, do the Kiwami 1 and 2, and then pick up Judgment down the road. So as you can picture, I have a ton of gaming to still do to get there. So that's it from what we're playing, folks. Thanks for tuning in on that side of stuff. And that actually closes out our Bitcast for this week. We should be back on schedule next week with our Bitcast and our normal formatting as well. I want to thank Colt again for joining us here. If you don't follow this guy on Twitter or YouTube, you need to. He's one of the best resources for Xbox content and also having fair conversations with people about gaming in general. So you got to respect him for that. And thanks again, Colt, for joining us. Backseat Gaming is back on schedule, hopefully next week. So if you follow us with Backseat Gaming, we're shooting for a Monday shoot, and we're going to be trying to get that to you next Friday. So that is the 5th of July when we should be back on schedule there. We've got a couple articles for you to read on our site if you do follow us from a written perspective. We have the Series 2 Elite controller. We have a whole write-up on there from what's new from the Generation 1 controller or Series 1 controller. Check that if you haven't. We have a few of our takes from E3 as well. Ains, anything you want to mention from any of your write-ups? I know you've been doing some of that as well.
Yeah, no, just focusing on some of the conversations from E3. As you kind of already said, it's been a relatively slow news week since E3, so focusing on some of the gameplay conversations we had, the closed-door demos. As you can see next to me here, I've had Tris, so there's an unboxing video up of that as well. And before we fully close out, I too want to thank you, Colt, for coming on. I just want to echo what you said earlier around E3 and hanging out. It was a great time. I was joking with people that, obviously we knew each other prior to E3, but not in a capacity where we talked a lot. And it's kind of funny that...
or hanging out, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny that, it just
crazy.
Kind of hit it off. And, it's been great getting to know you more personally. And, really great having you on here. Hope we can do it more often. And thanks again. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Colt, anything you want to mention? Anywhere they can find you other than what we've mentioned? I know we said it a few times, so I don't want to sound like an echo, but we got Twitter, we got YouTube, we got your podcast. Anything else you want to mention?
That's mostly like where, people can message me on Xbox anytime that's open. They can message me on Twitter that's open. I have a little Instagram account where I put, it's Colt Eastwood, where I put graphics I've made or thumbnails or screenshots from games just for fun. I don't really expect anything other than people to kind of see stuff that I like sharing. So, yeah, it's just how I talk to people, I guess.
Cool. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Have a great week, and we'll catch you next week.